Hi, welcome back to another episode of Cold Stream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's episode, we're still back working on the 232 Roadsters, Brenda's, and the Camber Lady's Roadster. The plan this week is to work on the exhaust for Brenda's Roadster. We just picked up the mufflers. There's a 2-inch exhaust kit here. We now have a Clutchmaster cylinder and a slave cylinder, as well as a cable. So the plan is to work as much as we can on that on Brenda's Roadster. And then, like I introduced at the end of last week's video, we picked up this 48-inch brake. I got to clean it up, and what I'd really like to do is build some legs for it and then put it down to the back of the garage in place of the Princess Auto one we have. That one has served me well, but this is much stronger, much more robust, and I'll be able to do a much better job using it. So, and maybe if I can get some more stainless steel pieces in, what I want to do on the Camber Lady's Roadster is we made the headers, which is good, everything clears, but what I'd like to do now is actually bring them down and start bringing them down to the back of the body. So I do have to order the pieces to do that. I don't have them now, so that's a wish list for this week. So anyways, watch along, got lots to do. There's a metal brake sitting on the floor in the back of the garage. Cleaned it up a little bit. Used some steel wool to get some of the surface rust off, and then some solvent to get some of the old grease out, and then just gave her a quick squirt of WD-40, kind of oiled things down. There's nothing stuck on it or anything like that. It just unfortunately sat around for quite a while. The next thing I've got to do is I have to make a stand for it. So went into town today and got some 2x2 square tubing. The intention is to make a set of legs here for it and get that up on the legs. The other thing this week, I'm not sure where everybody is from. I think most folks who are watching this are in the US, but here in Canada, we got a lot of tire changing that goes on starting around now. So all the kids and family members are coming up for their yearly tire change and oil change and oil filters and stuff. So had to move everything over to this side to leave this bay open to cover some of that now. We had a sprinkle of snow there last week, and weather's beautiful today, but the cold weather's starting to set in. So gonna have to work on Brenda's Roadster, shift it over a little bit. The plan though is to get onto her to do the exhaust for this chassis. Like I said, I think at the beginning we've got most of the parts. And so anyways, first up is we're gonna get the brake all set up and get the stand made for it. Well, there it is. We've got the new brake all set up on a stand. I went to the metal supply shop and I bought some 2x2 by 1/8 wall square tubing. Initially, I just made the side pieces, as you can see there, but as you can imagine, it wasn't very stable, so went and got 2 support pieces here on the bottom and the top, and it's quite stiff. The legs, I did them at 15 degrees front and back. Don't know if we can see. Yeah, there we go. And I just laid them out, laid all the pieces out on top of the welding bench here, clamped them down, tacked them, and then welded them all the way around. That way they're all the same shape. And just tried to weld as much all the way around as I can. This particular brake, kind of impressed with it so far. It's got that big weight there. That makes a huge difference when you're lifting and bending stuff up. I did a trial piece here with a piece of 18 gauge, and it handled that almost effortlessly compared to using the old Princess Auto brake. So anyways, we're going to put this to good use in the shop. I'll back up here, sorry. We're going to put this to good use here in the shop. I'm going to make a few pieces up, and yeah, looking forward to it. Next up though, I'm going to start working on the exhaust on Brenda's Roadster. Their parts are here. We're going to start plumbing some stuff. It's all stainless steel. Going to dig out the TIG welder and see if I can, see if I can do a good job. Now the first thing I got to do here with these headers, unfortunately the headers, I think I showed you earlier, the header outlet kicked out towards the frame. So this header is like 1 3/4. It's kind of a weird size. The stainless steel exhaust I have is 2 inch, so I don't have like any 45s or 90s that I can cut up. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the old pie cut thing where we make a bunch of slots into it and weld it up and basically try and redirect the exhaust more straight back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to weld that up. This is just mild steel, so I'm just going to use the MIG welder on this one. And then what I got to do is figure out a way to step up the 3/4 inch. Now I had some exhaust expanders, but they're 2 inch and up, so I can't do it that way. The other thought process is to take the 2 inch and basically work this edge down so it comes in, and then weld it onto the end of the exhaust pipe. Anyways, we'll sort that out, but first up I'm going to weld this up and get at least the headers coming out straight to the back. There we have the first piece of the stainless steel pipe welded onto the exhaust header. That's as long as I'm going to make that piece, and then I'm going to join another piece in behind it. Had to do a bunch of pie cuts there and weld them up. I mean, it's not the prettiest, but certainly functional in the absence of a tubing bender or other pieces. The one thing I realized though with the kit that was supplied to me, it only consists of, basically for each side of the car, a straight piece, one U-bend, a 90, and a 45. Now, if you're looking for these kind of kits to do kind of like your home build exhaust kit, make sure you get the ones that actually have a total of 4 45s, 4 90s, 2 U-bends, and 4 lengths of pipe, and then you're going to be sure to have enough. I've done quite a few of these in the past, and like it's just, you wind up using 2 45s and 2 90s per side, because what you want to do is a lot of times you're going to come down underneath the X member right there, go straight across, and you're going to kick up with 1 45 and then another 45, go in your muffler here. Your muffler is going to go back, you're going to come up into a 90, you're going to come up into a 90, go up over your rear end, and then you're going to need another 90. So you need 2 90s, 2 45s, and a U per side in order to ray out an exhaust system that way. So in the absence of that, we're going to cheat here, and I'm going to I'm going to take the straight pipe. I'm going to do a bunch of pie cuts here. I'm going to make a 45 this way and a 45 the opposite direction as soon as my battery charges up. That way we're going to get, the pipe going the right way. Again, if you've got an exhaust tubing bender at home, you don't have to go through this. This is the hard way, but you can still do it. You just have to spend some time welding. This may be as far as we can go this week with the exhaust. I made up the front piece that went from the back of the headers all the way up to the muffler, and then from the muffler I went up over the rear axle and out the back. I TIG welded it all the way. I'm relatively new at TIG welding, I have to admit, so it went pretty slow. Had to redo a few things, but we got it. What I did find though was it was much easier to cut sections of the stainless steel tubing. And unfortunately by doing that, I used up almost all of the kit, so I don't have enough to do the other side. I don't think there was actually enough to do the complete other side anyways, even if I did the pie cuts. The pie cuts I did on the front section, and it just takes an insane amount of time, at least for me. Now maybe somebody who's used to TIG welding a lot could do it, but it was an awful lot of time to bend, make all the slices, make the bend fit, versus like what I did in the back here. I just cut out sections and welded them together. And now the exhaust is coming out the back, approximately there. The other thing I got to do is get some hangers. Now, what I've typically done in the past, I tend to like using this style of hanger. I did root through my box, I found some of these, but what I've got to do is get the right size hanger with the right size rod. Now, I think that rod will work well with these, but I only have 2 of them. So I've got to go out somewhere and find some more, either these rods or these rubbers and get a bigger rod, or find that style rubber for the smaller rod. Now, one thing what happened from the last video, or the video before that, I made up these seat risers for a Roadster. Now, I did one for our Roadster, and I put it in, and I did one for the International Roadster, and I didn't make an extra one up. I typically will make an extra one up, but it just so happened that a friend of a friend reached out to me and said, hey, I'd like to have one of those, and while it was fresh in my mind, I actually made two of these up. One of them's already gone to that friend, and for his Roadster, I didn't know anybody really wanted one. You can buy these in the US. They're relatively inexpensive, but one of the things in Canada is that by the time we buy it, pay the exchange and ship it, it's actually cheaper to make it. So the person that got this one from me, he's here in Canada, so it was worth making another one up for him. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to work on the emergency brake cables. Now, this rear end came with emergency brake cables on it. One of the dilemmas is how to hook them up. Now, what I could probably do here is actually make like a bracket, put it there, and run the cable up there somewheres. Because what we're going to be doing is there's going to be like the handle style emergency brake lever mounted here on the side of the transmission. So I looked at different things to put that on, but what I ultimately chose to do, I went out and I got this universal emergency brake kit. You can get it on Amazon. It is a clone or a copy of the low-car one. I've used the low-car one. I've got two of them on the other vehicles, but this is so easy to put on. You don't need the special clips to put in the rear drums. They basically go in and they screw them in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the process of unpacking that. I'll get it out. I'll take the drums apart and I'll show you how it hooks in, and then just how simple it is to put in. It's for what it costs to buy that versus all my time making up brackets to try and use those original cables. This is the way to go. So that's up next, and we'll get that installed. So before I start putting the e-brake cable kit in, here's the e-brake cable kit I got. It's got two full cables, and these will go in place of the original brackets that go into the backing plates. Basically goes through and screws in place. You don't need a clip or anything. Then it comes with the adjusters here. And then it also, this section here, you put the two cables into these, got two set screws. It goes in there, holds it in place. And then this section here will hook up to the emergency brake handle. They got a couple rubber clamps that come with it. You may or may not want to use those. I mean, you probably have some better ones, but just the same, they will work. So the only thing you really need with this is an emergency brake handle that's mounted to the floor or mounted to the transmission. So going to put these in, trim them to length. I'll show you how they fit inside of the backing plates. I think I paid $79 Canadian, including shipping or whatever from Amazon for this kit. You know, and everything's there. It's well worth the money. And like I said, if you really want to step up and get the brand name one, Low Car makes them in the US, probably a little better quality, but they certainly look the same as these ones. So here's the first e-brake cable in place. As you can see inside there, it fits inside, and there's a lock nut that goes over, a nylon lock nut that goes over the top of it. And then in the back, I don't know if you can see or not, but down there in the original position, basically there's like a lead lug that fits over the end of the braided cable. It fits down the original position. So on the original Ford ones, got a lead lug onto it and the spring inside. This one doesn't have a spring inside, but it still works just the same, I can assure you. Got a couple of these, like I said. I got three of them on other vehicles, and they work just fine. So there's the cable on the inside, and basically use some clamps to attach it to the side of the frame. Then it comes up here, and there's that adjuster. And then on this side, the cable sticks out. Now, one thing I like to do, kind of like what you have on the front brake hoses, you see that extra piece of hose there that's stuck out basically to, well, this should actually be maybe up front there a little bit, but anywhere where there could be some contact into it, put another piece of hose onto it just for safety's sake for chafing. So I just put some, I don't know if it was gas hose or vacuum line or something, put it over the emergency brake cable so in case it bumps into anything while it's driving. I mean, it's going to be loose anyways. You can only put it in so tight, but you've got the hose that it's going to rub onto it right there. So what I'll do now is I'm going to do the other side, and we'll have those cables in. There's the passenger side emergency brake cable put in place, and I've plumbed it along the side. I put a piece of rubber hose underneath like I did the other side, and we've joined it up to the front. Now here's the adjuster. So on the underside of it, there's Allen keys, which will be tightened down once we put the lever in place, and then we'll adjust this forward or back to wherever the lever is, and then basically trim off the braided steel lines and tighten those Allen keys down onto it, and then we'll have the emergency brake. So that's it for putting the universal emergency brake cables in place, and we are on to the next task. There is the Clutchmaster cylinder mounted in place, which I thought was going to be really, really simple to do. After all, it's just a heim joint and a couple bolts bolting into the frame, into the bracket there, but unfortunately that didn't turn out to be the case. That heim joint that you see right there is like this one in my hand, and basically there's a 3/8 fine bolt that goes through this hole that connects to the brake pedal, and then on this end it's a 3/8 fine thread that goes on that shaft. The only problem is that shaft on the master cylinder is not 3/8, it's 5/16. So what I had to do is I had to take the heim joint here. I drilled out this hole to 7/16 of an inch, tapped it, and then basically threaded in a plug, welded it all the way around, squared off the top, and re-drilled out that hole 5/16 20 or 5/16 20, anyway, 5/16 fine thread in order for it to mount on the shaft. So we've got her in place right now. Quite happy with the adjustment. It moves in and out as it should, and everything is good. Next up, I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with it, is I have to mount this slave cylinder. More than likely somewhere's there. I could probably go a little closer, but I kind of like the idea of mounting it back a little further so that the arm doesn't have too much of a sway this way. So I'm thinking of making a bracket at this point and extending that rod so it hooks up onto the mechanical lever here on the back of the transmission. So I'm going to try and go as far as I can with that. Some parts have arrived today. We've got a few more muffler clamps have come in, and I'm waiting for some more stainless steel parts to finish off the other side of the exhaust system, but more than likely the exhaust system is going to be next week, the other side anyways. We'll solve the hanger situation and everything else. So anyways, we're making slow progress here. So here's the first step of putting the slave cylinder in. Basically went over, got a piece of 3/16 inch plate there, and then drilled some holes. I think there were 3/8 holes that bolted on the back of the transmission here, and then the bolts themselves are 5/16 that hold the slave cylinder in there. There doesn't seem to be too much flex in that. It's pretty rigid. I will, however, once I hook everything up, make sure that there is no flex, and then worst case scenario, put a little gusset from here to here or somewhere else just to basically keep it from flexing some. We don't want it to flex at all. So next up, I have to make a rod from here up to the clutch lever. So basically my thought process is to use I don't know what kind of nut, a castle nut, I guess you call it, like that. And then this threaded rod, I'll weld those together. I'll make it adjustable and then make a clevis from the end of this threaded rod up to the clutch lever. So going to work on that. Hopefully we can get that done before the end of this video, and then even hook up the line from the slave cylinder to the master cylinder. That's the goal. So this is what I came up with, a linkage from the slave cylinder to the clutch. Now the slave cylinder has a spring into it. There's no fluid into it at the moment, so it's pushed everything forward. So if you can see in the, I guess in the condition when it would be, no fluid into it, would be back there, and the lever would be forward up, forward being pressed against by the pilot bearing. There's no pilot bearing or clutch in there, so that's another difficulty. So right now, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing there. It's just a little stiff inside. I'll put a little bit of grease around that little knob there, and then it's adjustable here, so I can undo this nut, screw this inner out to adjust the travel. Next up, I got to get the hydraulic hose that goes from the master cylinder to the slave cylinder and put that in place, and then fill everything up with fluid. Here we are. It is the end of the week. Didn't get as much done as I wanted to get done, but we got to work on a lot of the different things we had planned on at the beginning of the video. We do have one side of the exhaust done. I did successfully TIG weld it all the way through. As I got along, I got better and better as I went. Confidence is kind of coming up. Ran out of material in order to do the other side, like I had said. So some of the stuff has come in, like we're using these muffler clamps here, basically the band type, so that way in the future if you want to take it apart you can. Now the gentleman that owns this, he likes these particular mufflers, but he now has the opportunity, if he wants to change out the muffler later. So he's happy with the way this one side has gone. I still have to figure out how to hang it. One of the issues is we've got some small diameter stainless rod that we need to use with these kind of rubber brackets, so need to source some more of those. We've ordered more pipe in order to finish it, as well as the bends. So like I said, success as far as one side went, but didn't get to finish the other side, so we'll have to work on that next week. The other thing on the clutch, successfully got the clutch master cylinder in, got the slave cylinder in, made a rod up, looks great, everything is good. Even have this braided steel line, but then when I went to connect it up to the master cylinder late last night, I realized that this fitting here, which is a 3AN on this side, I need a M12 by 1 that goes into the slave cylinder, so had to order that. Also, we've got the emergency brake cables in, that is. And now I'm waiting, the owner of the car is going to bring me an emergency brake handle. What he has is an original style, early 30s emergency brake handle, and what he's done in the past or had people do was basically make a bracket to go on the side of the transmission to mount that to, much like the way the low car one is over on our transmission over there. So going to work on that either next week or the following week once we get it. Then of course on the video we got the new brake, and I kind of squirreled off and made a couple extra sets of seat risers, which took some time. So all in all, I mean, lots of success on all the different things we worked on, but didn't finish other sides and whatnot, and just that's the way it goes with hot rodding. You go as far as you can, and then when you're adapting different parts, you've got to adjust and go find a solution to it. Third thing is this bay here. It is still winter tire change month, so can't bring the 58 Ford pickup in. We've got 3 more sets of tires to finish up this weekend on my kids and family's cars. Once those are done, then we're going to bring the 58 Ford cab in there, so then you'll see 3 projects back in the shop. So anyways, that's it for this week on Coldstream Rod Shop. We're going to basically do our videos on a weekly basis. I'd like to do it on a project kind of thing, but we're just going to show you everything we worked on week to week. So anyways, come on back next week. Follow along with us. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe. And like always, send me your comments. I'd love to hear from you. Everybody take care and have a great week. Oh, at the end of the video, I took a drive in the hot rod, so watch me drive for 2 minutes. And we'll see you next week. It was a nice day today. Just figured get the old hot rod out for a quick drive. We're in the country. I guess it's about 22 degrees Celsius, so I guess that puts it in the low 60s, I guess. Anyways, it's might be the last one for the year. Sometimes we get lucky, there'll be a next day in December or something, but this is pretty much it. We'll put her away and probably not get her back out again until, I would imagine, end of April or May, just with the weather and everything. Snow could be coming soon, unfortunately, and then they start putting salt on the road. It's just not good for the old cars, but here's a little look on the drive. I have to try to avoid that next time. And most of the leaves are gone now. There's a few maple trees with something left and oak trees, but it's pretty much bare trees everywhere. Really nice day. Can't help by myself but get her out on the road and take her for a drive. It's pretty safe to tape it here because there's not too many people on the road right now.